Hey.
Hi, what's up? I need to go grab food real quick. Hold on one second.
Okay. Well, I guess I'm in charge of the stream now. I have good news, too. I fixed my sidecar. Had a broken push rod on the left side exhaust valve, and I got the replacement part in last night and I fixed it. So now I can ride my favorite bike. What's my bench? It's 410. That's my best bench so far. 410 pounds. Locate my keys? Well, I got my keys. I've got my house keys, my motorcycle keys. I got the bench press key, the tofu key. Got all the necessary keys. How many push-ups can I do in one session? I don't know. I don't really do push-ups, like ever. I just do bench variations. Would you recommend a vegan diet for a strongman competitor? Yes. In fact, there was a professional vegan strongman, Patrick Baboumian. He had the world record in the yoke lift at the time. Since then, his yoke lift has been broken, but at the time, he had the world record in the yoke lift. And I think he also held the log lift record in Germany. And there might have been another lift that he had a German record in. But yeah, vegan diet's totally fine for strongman. Might have some benefits too, because it's vegan diets tend to be cardioprotective and they tend to also lower blood pressure, which is a big issue for strongman athletes.
Well, hi, what's up?
Hey. Had a few interesting things happen lately. So you know the October 7th celebrations?
I'm not aware, but I'm sure some people did, yeah.
Yeah, well, they called them October 7th, like pro-Palestine protests, but they scheduled them right around October 7th. Some were on October 7th in Canada, and obviously all these people were celebrating the October 7th attack. I'm in Ottawa now, so I went to Parliament Hill
Okay.
in Ottawa, and I went to the protest there on October 5th. The reason it was on October 5th is because it fell on a Saturday. So I guess they figured more people would show up.
Wait.
I was yeah.
Okay, wait. Hold that thought. Wait 1 second. Ugh, ketchup. Okay. Sorry, I'm here. Go. Okay.
Yeah, so
yes. Ottawa. Yeah, go.
So went to the protest on October 5th. I had a camera guy there with me, and I was wearing a Death to Hamas sweater.
Okay, best.
I made my own print. Nobody tried to attack me. There are clearly some people who are thinking about it, and they resorted to just harassing my cameraman. They were like shoving him around, waving like flags in his face and shit, and they didn't do that to me. And my camera guy only weighed like 135 pounds or something, so it's obvious why they picked on him, not me. But I tried to walk onto Parliament Hill, and a fucking parliamentary protection... I don't even know if he's technically a police officer, but Parliamentary Protection Service, one of their officers, stopped me from going onto Parliament Hill where all the protesters were because they thought my shirt would incite violence. Like they were concerned people in the crowd would attack me. So it was kind of a funny admission that, oh yeah, these people who are protesting for peace will attack you if you upset them with a fucking t-shirt. But he then, like, I talked to him for a while. He said I could go onto Parliament Hill if I don't wear the shirt. So what I did was I flipped it inside out. Now, I went off Parliament Hill, flipped my shirt inside out, tried to walk on again, and then he blocked me from going on again And his reasoning was, I don't recognize Palestine as a state, which is a bizarre reason to not allow me onto Parliament Hill because Canada does not recognize Palestine as a state.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So that was bizarre. There was actually a big clip that went viral on Twitter. I have my own video about the whole interaction, but there was a big video that went viral on Twitter where they filmed the cop or whatever.
Wait, can you link
telling
this again?
me, huh?
Can you link me that again? I think you sent it to me before, but
Oh yeah, sure.
was it one of these last
So
two?
I'll send you the video that I filmed. If you want to see the police interactions, it's right at the very beginning. So if you just skip to about 1 minute 40 seconds in, you can see the whole interaction. But basically, the excuse he was making, first of all, for not allowing me onto Parliament Hill, which is a public area, by the way, was that my shirt would incite a violent attack, and he didn't want anybody to get hurt. Over the course of that discussion, he was asking me about just some of my political beliefs when it came to Palestine. I said I don't recognize Palestine as a state. So I flipped the shirt inside out because that was the reason he gave for not allowing me onto Parliament Hill. Then he said I have to recognize Palestine as a state to be allowed onto Parliament Hill for that, to basically talk to people at the protest. Which is absurd because that seems like a clear civil rights violation. He's not allowing me onto public property because of my political beliefs. And secondly, it's the official position of Canada that Palestine is not a state, and they also recognize Hamas as a terrorist group, and Trudeau's also been selling weapons to Israel to kill Hamas. So nothing on my t-shirt was is not in line with the official position of the Canadian government. Nothing about my political position on Israel-Palestine is not in line with the Canadian government. And he's not allowing me on to public property because I basically agree with my own government.
Pretty messed up. All right, well, we'll watch a couple minutes of this and see what happens, but...
All right. Yeah, some of I did run into a pretty based older woman there. She was in the Canadian Armed Forces, and she was acting as a UN peacekeeper during the Second Intifada. She was pretty based. The rest of the interviews were just fucking retarded. Like, all these pro-Palestine people, they're just deranged lunatics.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to watch this for a bit, okay?
All right, take care, dude.
Be careful.
David on the back. So let's see what happens. You're protesting for Palestine? Mind if I have an interview with you? Okay. Sure. Yeah. Well, it's an opportunity to advocate for your cause. Okay. Oh well.
Why were we not allowed in there?
Because that's not theirs for the pro-Palestinian side. So they have an area reserved for their event today. Obviously, with your shirt, you are not here as a pro-Palestinian protester. You are here as a counter-protester. So this area over here is designated for anybody who is a counter.
So am I legally allowed over there?
So technically, no, because you have a reservation book. You have an event book, the permit book.
Does everybody have a permit reservation?
Well, not if you're here for an event or to protest, right?
Right. So then there's no issue.
But you're here to protest, right, with the shirt on.
Right.
So if you want to have a protest going on that is counter to somebody who has a booking, then yes, you have to have a booking, and then you have an area designated for you. So right now, we've actually created an area designated for people that are counter.
So am I legally allowed to be in there or not?
For your own safety, no.
Okay, that's not an answer. Am I legally allowed to be there or not?
We are not going to put you up there because the shirt that you are wearing is there to incite a response, and therefore,
Well, no.
Hold on, let me finish. You are there to incite a response. Therefore, as being on this side where there is a protest happening that is pro-Palestine, you wearing a shirt that is clearly saying death to Hamas, okay, it could be considered disturbing the peace. It could be,
So is pro-Palestine, pro-Hamas?
it could be considered disturbing the peace. So in order to avoid a disturbance of the peace happening, we're telling you need to be on this side.
Well, what about saying death to Hamas is disturbing the peace?
Because you clearly said this to Ottawa police as well, that all you want to do is incite a response.
No, I
yes,
never
you
said
did.
that.
So the thing behind
When did
that,
I say I wanted to incite a response?
that's what you said, right? You said you're not here, you don't want to fight anybody, you don't want to cause any problems, you just want to incite a response from
No,
people
I never
that
said
are here.
that.
Really? Because you're telling me that Ottawa police lied?
Well, I'm not
Are you
saying he lied. I'm saying he might have misremembered or misunderstood.
Well, that doesn't sound that way to me. In any case, if you are here to counter-protest, this is the area designated for you.
Okay, so
Simple as
am I
that.
legally allowed to be in that area or
No,
no?
because if you go in that area, you will be disturbing the peace and causing mischief.
Okay, how would I be disturbing the peace?
With the shirt that you are having, it will incite a response, and therefore you are going to be causing an issue. If you have, so here's the thing, if you have any more questions at this point,
I'm
we'll give you a
just
card.
Well,
just
yeah.
confused how
I'm
it
going
would
to, I just
incite a
explained it to you. I
response.
can't explain it to you in any other way. Here is our media and communications. You can reach out to them, and they can provide you more of a response. Okay? But at this time, I'm letting you know very clearly, you are not to go on the other side. You want to go up on Parliament Hill? You have this
Would I
entire
be
side.
arrested if I were to go on that side?
So I've just told you now, you are not permitted on that
Would I
side.
be arrested if I went on that
Yes,
side?
because at that point it would be considered trespassing. You have been told that you are not permitted on that side. I have just clearly told you this.
Is that public area?
So it is an area reserved for people that are protesting for Palestine, okay, or general public that are here touring the area.
Okay,
Sure,
I'm
take that.
general
You tell you what.
public
I'll tell you what. You take the shirt off, right? That doesn't say death to Hamas, right? And as long as the t-shirt underneath it. Hold on. Again,
So
you're
you're
interrupting me.
admitting
Just let me
death to
finish.
Hamas. So you're admitting death to Hamas. So the
I'm admitting that death to Hamas will incite a response from people that are here protesting for Palestine. That is what I'm saying.
They're two different things.
No, they're not.
He's admitting there's no difference between pro-Palestinian protesters and pro-Hamas.
No, I didn't say that.
No, you are.
No, see, now you're putting words in my mouth.
No.
I am saying that your shirt may incite a response, a negative response, and that will disturb the peace on that side.
I'm
there.
not saying I'm anti-Palestine. I'm just anti-Hamas.
Okay, well, that's fine. Then you know what? No problem. Take the sweater off. You can go on that side.
Why would I
as
need
well.
to? You just said it's open
Because I
public.
just told you, and again, I can't repeat myself any much more than what I just said. That shirt, okay, will incite a response, may incite a response, and we do not want that to happen, right? Do you want a response? Do you want to have people jump on you and start potentially harming you?
Well,
is this
no,
what you want?
well,
Okay,
I want
so I don't want that either, right? I don't want that either. So if you go over there and you incite a response,
Well,
then that is a disturbing of the peace. You are now having to get us to intervene, right? Now you're taking people away from their jobs of ensuring everybody's safety here,
Sure.
right?
Here's my-
Hold on, again, you're interrupting me. Please wait. So because of that, I am telling you that with that shirt on, you
I mean, it sounds like in Canada you can register for a permit to do a protest in a particular area, and as part of that, you can like not have counter protesters, right? It's probably, I mean, if that's the law as written in Canada, it can be similar-ish in the United States too, but. What is this?
Having a wife and kids, plural, and choosing to spend your time being insane on the internet. Like, he just needs to get on, do his podcast, and log off. And then he can go do whatever the fuck else he wants. And this is what he wants to do. This is how he wants to spend his time. That's so insane to me. I get off stream and I go and play like video games. Or I go outside and I do having a wife and kids.
This argument is always so transparently fucking pathetic. Like, he has one of the largest podcasts on the internet. You think that his whole engagement with the internet is he does a podcast and then he logs off and he doesn't look at or respond to or see anything? Like, it's such an obviously on its face like fucking stupid argument. I don't know. Okay. What? This is an ad? What? Forget. Okay.
Says, I don't think you are smart. And I said, okay, let's 1v1. And we started the lobby. Alright, let's see who is the smartest one in this lobby.
2 kings.
Liar!
So easy. So easy, man. Bluffing on the first round? Come on. That's so
Well, I
obvious.
had to try, bruh.
Luck.
I thought you were
Don't
smart.
fail me now.
Giving you a head start, okay?
Okay.
Hello? Hello. Oh, how are you?
Very good.
Oh, so nice.
I knew it. I knew it was gonna be.
One ace.
Hello, guys.
What?
One is.
This is women's
You're on the
only.
car.
Hello?
This is women's only.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Okay.
This is the most expensive sword ever sold at auction.
Oh my god.
This
Wait,
is
ever at auction?
most expensive sword from a show or movie or entertainment. Sorry, I apologize. There's probably been something really cool from history that has been sold for more. This is a $400,000 sword that someone is soon to have.
Jesus.
Lovely. She's gorgeous. She's heavy. She's iconic.
Yeah.
Yeah, just hold her gently.
That's a
Oh my god,
house.
$400,000.
That's a house in Texas.
Yeah.
You're holding in your hands.
And that's a quarter of a
You look
house
like
in
you're
San
holding your
Diego,
breath.
so that's nothing.
Mo, hi, what's up?
Oh, hey, yeah. So I heard some talking points yesterday during the space that I wanted to bring up, particularly on Trump's foreign policy.
Yeah.
So you asked what kind of things did Trump do for foreign policy that was good? And I think you do a lot of this stuff in bad faith because you didn't mention the fact that he completely destroyed ISIS. So do you think that's a small deal or?
I don't know if it was like an exceptional thing.
Okay, like when he killed Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, obviously that was like a pretty big deal, right? Like that was a successful foreign policy attempt by him.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, like beating ISIS was good, but I don't think it was like an exceptional. Like I think any president would have done that, right? Like I don't give Bush credit for destroying Saddam Hussein so quickly. Like it's the U.S. military, like I would expect it to happen, right?
Okay, yeah. And then the other thing I wanted to ask you about is the economy. You always say Kamala would be much better for the economy. So I want to ask, if we were to normalize relations with Russia again and lift sanctions, do you think that would increase the economic output of the United States? Because Russia is one of the largest energy producers in the world.
Probably.
Okay, so you think Trump normalizing relations with Russia would benefit the economy? Like, I feel bad for the Ukrainians, but if you were to just put your moral compass aside and you were to normalize relations with Russia, lift all these sanctions, it would be much better for the economy.
Well, I don't know if that policy in and of itself, I'm not sure what the impact just that policy would have across the entire economy. I also don't know if the European Union or the rest of Europe would go along with that either. And obviously I have zero faith in Trump being able to negotiate anything with them. So
Well, I feel like they follow what the United States does. Like if we were to lift a lot of the sanctions, they would probably follow, and we share a symbiotic relationship with the Western European economy, right? So
whatever symbiotic relationship we have, Trump stands in deep opposition to it and is a hardcore protectionist through and through and has no love for the European economy. I mean, he set across the board tariffs for every single country, even for Mexico and Canada. So I have absolutely no reason to believe that Donald Trump would try to maintain that relationship with the European Union.
Well, it's just an implicit thing. Like whenever the Western European economy grows, the American economy grows, right? Like that's not controversial. It's just pretty well known.
So
right? I think so.
It was pretty well known beforehand that the United Kingdom leaving the European Union would be disastrous for their economy if they still did it.
Okay. And then I guess one of the other things is on immigration. So Donald Trump, he imposed the Stay in Mexico Act. You say a lot of the reason that we have an illegal immigration problem is because, a lot of people, they abuse the asylum process.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think the Stay in Mexico Act was really effective in combating illegal immigration, or would be effective in combating illegal immigration?
When I looked at
'Cause I
it,
know
no,
the
it
law-
didn't seem like it was doing a lot of work. I want to say it was like 75,000 like people a year maybe were being kept in Mexico from that act, but I don't think it was doing that much.
Okay. And then what about his Space Force? You think that was also not really anything significant?
I don't think it was significant. I think it was a good idea, though, because I think, or at least I don't know if it's true or not, but I've heard from military friends that there was kind of a lot of fighting between like different branches of the military for who had jurisdiction and certain types of air space stuff. So having all that coalesced into one branch was a good idea. But like I doubt that was like his idea or anything. But yeah, I mean that was probably a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So there are a few good things that he's done, and then the other big thing, I guess, would be his increased oil and natural gas production. That increased a lot under his administration. The Permian Basin in Texas and New Mexico, they saw record high production during Trump's term. I feel like that would be pretty big for the economy as well, whereas someone like Kamala would be, they're a lot more inclined to impose policies that are cater towards the climate change crowd. That makes sense.
I don't
Whereas
think
Trump-
that would be true at all, given that Biden is doing even more. I think the U.S. is producing more energy under the Biden administration than it has in the history of the United States.
It produced more than Trump did in those key areas, like the Permian Basin in Texas and New Mexico.
Almost
So that
certainly.
was record high.
Yeah, it might have been, but it's higher under Biden.
Okay. So you genuinely think immigration would be better under Kamala, illegal immigration, than Donald Trump?
Yeah. Not
you
even
say why?
necessarily because they might have a better policy, but just because Trump is so ineffective at getting anything done. Yeah. Trump had both halves of Congress and he had the White House, and Trump couldn't do anything for the border. We had absolutely zero legislation for border stuff. So I have no reason to think he'd be able to do it with an even more anti-Trump Congress for the next 4 years.
Okay. I guess one of the other things I had is who do you think would end the war in Ukraine quicker, Trump or Kamala?
Probably Trump.
Okay, yeah.
But I think he would end it
Right.
under unfavorable conditions, and I wouldn't want it to end that way. So,
Well, unfavorable conditions for the Ukrainians or for the rest of the world? Or do you think Putin would try to take over the rest of Europe?
I think that it would set a bad precedent for the rest of the world. I think it would be bad for the security of Ukraine and Russia, and I think it would be bad for what the United States stands for to the rest of the world.
Okay. All right. Yeah, those are all the questions I had. Thank you for your time.
Okay. I love you. Be careful.
All right, thank you.
Oh! Ken Klippenstein is back on Twitter. The guy who broke the JD Vance article. What percentage of online people do you think are bought into the narrative fed by another country? I have no idea. Okay. I'm going to go wash my hands, and we're going to probably read this and run down our little debate points. For people, is there anybody that still plugs headphones into their computers using the little cord? Or does everybody use USB now? If you guys get that little hum out of your computer, with like the little noise with like that shit or whatever, what do you do to not have that fucking noise? Tell it to stop. Okay. Musk is going all in to elect Donald Trump. In the final weeks of the presidential campaign, the richest man in the world has involved himself in the U.S. election in a manner unparalleled in modern history. Elon Musk, seen over the weekend jumping for joy alongside former President Donald J. Trump at a rally in Butler, PA, is now talking to the Republican candidate multiple times a week. He has effectively moved his base of operations to Pennsylvania, the place that he has recently told confidants he believes is the linchpin to Mr. Trump's reelection. He has relentlessly promoted Mr. Trump's candidacy to his 201 million followers on X, the social platform formerly known as Twitter, that he bought for $44 billion and is used to spread conspiracy theories about the Democratic Party and insult its candidate, Vice President Kamala Harris. Above all, he is personally steering the actions of a super PAC that he has funded with tens of millions of dollars to turn out the vote for Mr. Trump, not just in Pennsylvania, but across the country. He's even proposed taking a campaign bus tour across Pennsylvania and knocking on doors himself, in part to see how his money is being used. Taken together, a clear picture has emerged of Mr. Musk's battle plan as he directs his efforts to elect Mr. Trump with the same frenetic energy and exacting demands that he has honed at his companies SpaceX, Tesla, and X. As early as February, Mr. Musk was speaking apocalyptically in private about what he considered the crucial need to defeat President Biden. But even as he was meeting with advisors in Austin, Texas in April to plot his super PAC, Mr. Musk sounded as if he considered Mr. Trump merely the lesser of two evils. He told friends in the spring that he wasn't sure he even wanted to explicitly endorse Mr. Trump. These days, in private conversations, Mr. Musk is obsessive, almost manic, about the stakes of the election and the need for Mr. Trump to win. He praises Mr. Trump's courage under fire. He endorsed him on the night of the assassination attempt in Butler and talks about how funny he is. One person who spoke recently to Mr. Musk recalled him saying, without any hint of irony, "I love Big Brother." I'm sorry, I love Trump. Mr. Musk's frenzied engagement reflects his view of this moment in American history. On X, he has warned in dire terms about the effects of progressive policies and censorship. He has claimed, without basis, that Democrats are trying to fill the country with undocumented immigrants who would reward them with permanent power, warning that the 2024 race could be the last free election in America. It may be impossible to capture the financial value of all the support Mr. Musk is providing Mr. Trump. This is in part because of his role at X, where he amplifies so much of the former president's message. Mr. Trump has privately used grand and unverified terms to describe what Mr. Musk is donating to the super PAC, telling one associate recently that the figure is $500 million. But friends and colleagues say Mr. Musk is adopting the same strategy that he has used during other crises he has considered existential. Just as Mr. Musk worked late into the night as his companies teetered on the verge of catastrophe, tinkering with rocket designs at SpaceX, sleeping on a couch in the Tesla factory, or making staff cuts at Twitter, Mr. Musk has deemed this an all-hands-on-deck moment. And so, just as he recruited friends, family, and trusted lieutenants to Twitter after he bought the company, Mr. Musk has done the same at America PAC, which he founded to help Mr. Trump. Most recently, Musk added Steve Davis, a former SpaceX engineer and the head of his tunneling company, to the group, with Mr. Davis reprising a sidekick role that he played after Elon's takeover of Twitter. Ensconced in a war room in Pittsburgh with a team of lawyers, public relations professionals, canvassing experts, and longtime friends, Elon Musk is trying to apply strategies and entrepreneurial lessons from his businesses to a grinded-out political mission with just weeks to go until Election Day. This article is based on interviews with 17 people familiar with Mr. Musk's thinking and operations as Election Day approaches. I'm not sure if there is a precedent in modern history to how Musk has inserted himself into the presidential race, says Benjamin Soskis, a historian of the ultra-rich. Is that, I don't know what this is, ultra-rich? The relationship between Trump and Musk has evolved over time. Musk, who once privately called Trump a stone-cold loser, possesses in abundance the things Mr. Trump values most: wealth, fame, and tons of unwed mothers whom he has impregnated. Ugh. Wait, what? I want this quote. Where did this quote come from? The Stone Cold Loser quote. I want this video. Voters for Trump ad. Jesus. But also based. Why can't I watch this video? Oh, wait, it's loading. No. CNBC, Elon Musk interview before 2017. Oh, it doesn't work. Somebody here, I'm looking at this. Somebody find me this video. Oh, yes. Oh.
I think one day America will benefit from.
Bid as to elect Donald Trump. You know, 40% of the
I would say not.
Oh, thank you.
I would say not. It's not going to make much of a difference one way or the other. Honestly, I mean, you know, yeah. Honestly, I think, you know, Hillary's economic policies and her environmental policies particularly are the right ones. You know, but. Yeah. I also don't think this is the finest moment in our democracy in general. But
you did blog a year ago. You said you didn't have. A year ago, you blogged that you didn't have very strong feelings about the election, but that you hoped Trump would not get the nomination. Do you essentially feel the same way about his victory to the White House?
Well, I feel a bit stronger that probably he's not the right guy. He just doesn't seem. It doesn't seem to have the sort of character that reflects well on the United States. It's just I don't know. Just no.
Is there a link to the full? What are the JD Vance? What he said about Trump? Does anybody have this? Oh wait, hold on. Fuck, so there's not a recording of this? That's okay. Wow, Brian Tyler Cohen. What's up, buddy? Probably I mentioned this before, but are you worried about dead links as you reference this file in the future? No, it's just a big prep. I feel like because since we have to do 7-minute opening statements, I'm pretty sure it would be nice to just here's 5 people that are currently working with Trump. Here are things they've said about Trump. I think it's pretty crazy that Trump is working with people who say things that conservatives say are unhinged things to say, right? Like, how many times have conservatives said, you know, you can't call people Nazis, it's horrible, like this is what's turning up the temperature on the rhetoric in the United States. And his vice presidential pick literally has called him Hitler. I just think that's very funny. I feel like I just read quotes from these people. Like, I don't even have to, my opening statement can, parts of this can literally just be quotes from people that are working with Trump now. I just think it's very funny. I understand that there are all these articles that are quoting these things. Just where do all the quotes come from? Was there like an actual leak? Was there a big document somewhere, or was there a...
Amazon fall favorites are here.
Fall favorites?
Save on fashion, home, beauty, and more. Shop Amazon fall favorites now.
Right, I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him.
Trump's running mate, JD.
I don't want to see
a MAGA advocate.
5-second cut from that. What is that? Like, what is that from? I want this interview. What is this interview from? What does it say? Charlie Rose, or is that who's doing this whole video?
Right, I'm a never Trump guy. I never.
Somebody link me this YouTube video. I want to see what interview this comes from. October 2016. JD Vance.
Liked him.
Trump's running mate, JD Vance, wasn't always a MAGA advocate. Back in 2016, Vance was an outspoken critic of then-candidate Trump.
There is definitely an element of Donald Trump's support that has its basis in racism or xenophobia. I know who I'm going to vote for. I'm definitely not going to vote for Trump because I think that he's projecting very complex problems onto simple villains.
Okay, never mind. He's got a lot of quotes. Oh my God. Okay, thank you for the links.
But Vance predicted a Trump loss.
But I've noticed this willingness from people who think a lot like I do that, look, we told.
Can you speak on what you think had to have happened to allow Trump to get over those comments and select Vance as his VP? I would think his ego wouldn't allow that. Oh, no. Trump's ego is very transient. You can say the meanest things ever to Trump, but if you go to him and say, you know what, actually, I think you're a really cool dude, Trump will be like, oh, yes. It's like offering treats to a dog. Like, if you say something nice about him, he will instantly be, everything is chill and cool.
Told you so. To all these white working class voters, we told you so. We told you that Trump was going to be a terrible candidate. We told you that you were an idiot if you voted for him.
And in now deleted tweets, JD Vance called Trump reprehensible.
Jesus. Trump makes people I care about afraid. Immigrants, Muslims, etc. Because of this, I find him reprehensible. God wants better of us. Is there a link to like all of his tweets for this?
Reprehensible. Fellow Christians, everyone is watching us when we apologize for this man. Lord help us, Vance wrote. Privately, Vance was even more critical, messaging a friend that Trump could be, quote, America's Hitler. But fast forward a few years later, when Vance ran for Senate in Ohio as a Republican. That's when he unveiled a new persona, Trump defender.
Are we having a good time? Is it great to have the president back in Ohio?
Surely there was an equally qualified VP pick for Trump that hasn't called him Hitler? No! This is what you have to understand, okay? If you look at people that have been political operatives or politicians, like lawmakers or governors or whatever, right? They're not generally fucking morons, which you have to be an ardent Trump supporter. So if you're not part of this new breed of MAGA politician, okay, so these insane lunatics like Marjorie Taylor schizophrenic green or whatever, okay, if you're not part of this brand of people, then if anybody asks you privately, like, what do you think about Donald Trump? Like if you were to talk to Rubio, Ted Cruz, any of the people that ran in that, in the primary against him, if you were to talk to any like state governors, or if you were to talk to lawmakers in Congress that aren't MAGA lawmakers, they're all going to say, and they all probably on record have said these things of, yeah, Trump, that dude is fucking wild. That dude is fucking insane. So it probably is incredibly difficult to find an actual established politician in the Republican Party that hasn't said unhinged things about Trump. Literally all of them have, would be my guess. Aside from like the new brand of like MAGA politician who are just unhinged crazy people. Would running Kushner be a move? I have no idea. Kushner gives one of my, I don't know if this will make the final video or not that we're working on, but my favorite, fuck, am I going to be able to find, what was the quote on this? What did Kushner say to Trump about Giuliani? There's a as part of the J6 interviews during the deposition, they ask Kushner, what did you say to Trump about Giuliani? And he goes, I wouldn't recommend him. There's like a 5-second pause where he's like, where he's contemplating. Oh, fuck. I'm trying to remember what the video is. Somebody find that for me, please. In one of those, it's in one of the commission videos. Please find this. It's such a fucking hilarious response. I love it. Wait, gives awkward answer. Oh my God, it's this. I bet it's this. It is this. Hold on. Not the approach I would take if I was you. He says that, but it's after like a 5-second.
So, and in shopping baskets, I could probably turn around each one of
from President Trump and flip them to President Biden, which we might never have uncovered.
The floor bleeding out with 5 bullet holes in it was killed by a gun.
What they were proposing, I thought was nuts. And the theory was also completely nuts.
Oh my God, Sidney Powell? Trump absolutely tried to make Sidney Powell fucking special counsel, by the way. But I think Trump thought that you could. He watched that episode of The Office where Michael declares bankruptcy, but he turned it off like halfway through, and he thought that like, oh, you just do things by speaking them. Like when he tried to make Jeffrey Clark the new Attorney General. I think he was just like, yeah, you're that guy now, okay? You're that guy now. And he just thought if he just said it, it would happen. And I'm pretty sure he did that with Sidney Powell. I know he did that with Jeff Clark.
Right. I mean, it was a combination of Italians, Germans. I mean, different things have been floating around as to who was involved. I remember Hugo Chavez and the Venezuelan. She has an affidavit from somebody who says they wrote a software in and something with the Philippines and just all over the radar.
Did you ever share, Mr. Kushner, your view of Mr. Giuliani? Did you ever share your perspective about him with the president?
I guess. Yes.
Tell me what you said.
Well, basically, not the approach I would take if I was you.
It's such a good. It's so funny because Kushner was only part of the White House because of fucking nepotism. But of everything I've seen of the guy speak, he seems like a decently intelligent guy. Like he might have even been one of the better people in the kind of Trump administration. But yeah, that answer I just thought was very fucking funny. Jesus. Oh my God. Hold on. Wait, I need that link actually.
An ever-changing landscape comes with challenges. At Principal Asset Management, we see potential. Our experienced teams and vast network are uncovering compelling opportunities, giving our clients an exclusive advantage. Principal Asset Management, actively invested.
That's a good one. People changing their view of Trump.
They had one choice, and that is to be Saddam.
One of the. Now he was gonna. Fuck! Isn't there like a video of this without the? I don't need the taken music in the fucking background.
أن يطرح شعار نقول به بعد تقاليد الحزب.
I think the background to this is I think basically Saddam Hussein started like calling out people in the party that he just said were basically fucking traitors. I don't know if it was sent to be executed or arrested forever, and then so obviously to show loyalty, I think people start standing up and just like screaming like "Long live Saddam Hussein!" Like what a great man or whatever.
ضرورة أن يحاكم مجددا.
I don't know what they're saying without fucking subtitles.
يعني خاف علمتونا شو الخونة وأن.
Okay. Okay, maybe we need the version with the music. But yeah, it reminds me of the Trump stuff with people changing their mind a lot on it. Not on this. Most of them were executed immediately? Okay, well. Okay.
From our studios in New York City, this is Charlie Rose.
JD Vance is here. He was raised in the Rust Belt city of Middletown, Ohio, and the Appalachian town of Jackson, Kentucky. After high school, he joined the Marines. He graduated from Yale Law.
In my opinion, they all deflect on the past comments thing. You could say the same thing about Kamala and Biden technically. No, I don't think so. Things that Kamala might have said to Biden or about Biden as they're literally running against each other in a primary is a lot different than privately saying things like Trump is like Hitler, okay? It's
Law school and went on to success in the financial community. His new book tells the story of his remarkable trajectory. It offers an examination of white working class America. It's called Hillbilly Elegy, a memoir of a family and culture in crisis. David Brooks called it essential reading for this moment in history. I'm pleased to have JD Vance at this table for the first time. Welcome. Thank you. And you should have been here earlier, so I thank God we got you here. Tell me what drove you to write this.
Yeah, so I started writing it when I was a third-year student at Yale Law School, and I was sort of troubled by this question of why there weren't more people like me at Yale Law School. So I was the only white working class person that I knew, or at least was open about it. And it seemed to me not just that I was relatively low income relative to my peers, but that I had this sort of cultural outsider attitude that was very, very unique. That I was not just lower income, but I actually felt like a cultural outsider. That was the first time I'd ever felt like that in my life. And so I really started to wonder what was it that made me different. And I decided to start writing to answer this question of why there weren't more kids like me, more kids who had lived a sort of charmed life.
Did you feel like that you were living in a world in which people looked down on you or something? Because you qualified to be where you were at every stage.
Yeah, absolutely. I never felt that people were looking down on me at Yale Law School. I thought maybe there was a general sense of disdain for the community that I came from. Maybe folks would call them rednecks, but I never felt that was personally directed at me.
And so you decided to write the book, as you said, you started to think about where you came from. And it's called A Memoir of a Family and Culture in Crisis. What culture is in crisis?
Well, I think the culture is white working class Americans, specifically white working class Americans with connections to Appalachia and the Rust Belt. So what I saw and what I started to research and realize is that a lot of the problems that existed in my family existed in the broader community at large in a very disproportionate way.
And what were those problems?
So increasing rates of family breakdown and divorce, increasing rates of opioid addiction, a certain pessimism and cynicism about the future that's very real. Maybe I don't think we should elide that. But
notice the contagions of drug addiction and suicide of a good community. We all have a sense of what that working class honor code was.
They're very cynical, pessimistic, and because of it, sort of alienated from the broader American sort of exploration for what changed in that life.
What changed?
Well, the first thing is that I started to spend a lot more time. In fact, I started to live full time with my grandma, and my choices didn't matter, and she fought against that.
And you went from
No. I just wanted the part about Trump. I have to watch another ad now.
Is now gone. Borrowers are now relying exclusively on income to meet their monthly
for political means.
Yeah, so I think there is a precious little dialogue between these two big cultural segments of America, nearly the effect that it did if he'd said it in a much more compassionate way.
So how do we...
Right, he mentioned that folks were struggling economically. Exactly.
In 2008?
Sure, for saying that folks cling to their guns and religion, right?
Yes.
Which I think was a well-intentioned comment, right? He mentioned that folks were struggling economically, and that was his explanation. But it was sort of layered with a certain amount of condescension. Adults that you respect don't cling to things. You might have said it a much different way, and I don't think...
What an unbelievably nuanced take. When Obama said that people cling to their guns and religion, he's like, yeah, I understand what he was saying. He tried to, but like, it definitely comes across in a condescending way for people that are religious and enjoy guns. What a great, wow. Where's this guy at?
I think the comment would have had nearly the effect that it did if he'd said it in a much more compassionate way.
So how do we change this?
Yeah, so that's a really tough question. I mean, I continue to think that one of the big problems, one of the big sources of this cultural divide is the fact that people aren't spending a whole lot of time together. So, when my wife, who is of Indian descent, was born in San Diego, the first time that I brought her home, I was terrified that she would think my family was a bunch of dumb hillbillies and that my family think that she was this sort of out-of-touch elitist. And the truth is that they actually love each other, and that's obviously a small example. But, when people spend time to each other, there's contact theory that suggests that when people from different groups spend time with each other, they actually empathize with each other in a much greater extent.
Like, who is this guy? Contact theory? Where is this guy at? Wait, what?
It's a consequence of the fact that we have too much geographic segregation between the elites and the rest of the country. At the end of the day, if you're a policymaker in Washington, D.C., you know very little about the people in Middletown, Ohio, not because you're a bad person, but because you don't actually spend much time with them.
One thing that resonates with the political community that Donald Trump says he's the leader of, the movement that he says he's a leader of, is an opposition to, quote, globalization, an opposition to trade. They see that as sort of friends of the establishment, which have restrained them by taking the manufacturing out of their small town and sending it overseas. And they're left there with the same life they had, with no income, and trying to figure out a way to live a good life.
Right.
Destiny will watch interviews like this, but he won't say anything about 60 Minutes not releasing the full interview. Full interview of what? Of who?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And work isn't just about a wage, right? It's not just about income. It brings pride. It's about building something. It's belonging to a community of workers. I remember my grandpa, to the day that he died, would point out cars that had been made with steel from the steel mill that he had worked out and said, we built that car. Yeah. That pride has really started to disappear because the jobs have started to disappear. And that's a really, really underappreciated factor of what's going on.
Do the people you write about feel like they're
The Kamala Harris 60 Minutes, does 60 Minutes, what is going on outside? Does 60 Minutes ever release the full interview for anybody? Is that a normal practice for them? Why is there like 10 people with bikes coming off of elevators? Jesus. Fucking bikers.
victims?
I think in a lot of ways they do feel like they're victims. They feel that they've been victimized by the political class. They see the jobs going overseas, and they want to blame somebody, right? And oftentimes, the only person that makes sense to point their finger at is their local representative, or their local congressman, or the president.
You have said one of the great predictors of whether you'll be attracted to Donald Trump is whether you are pessimistic or optimistic about the future.
That's right.
If you're pessimistic about the future, you'll vote for Donald Trump.
That's right. One of the biggest drivers of Trump's support, and one of the things that's most predictive of his support, is that you express cynicism about the future and a belief that your kids.
That's what he gives voice to every time he makes a campaign stop.
Yeah, absolutely. You think about the way that he talks about.
Your cynicism is appropriate.
Absolutely.
Of whether you'll be attracted to Donald Trump is whether you are pessimistic or optimistic about the future.
That's right.
If you're pessimistic about the future, you'll vote for Donald Trump.
That's right. One of the biggest drivers of Trump's support, and one of the things that's most predictive of his support, is that you express cynicism about the future and a belief that your kids.
That's what he gives voice to every time he makes a campaign stop.
Yeah, absolutely. You think about the way that he talks about.
Your cynicism is appropriate.
No, I don't think it's a large enough people to elect Donald Trump. Obviously, the demographics of the country have changed a lot, and the white working class community is still a pretty significant part of the electorate, but it's not nearly enough to elect Donald Trump alone. So my fear is, I think Donald Trump is not the right candidate for this group of voters, but my fear. Well, I don't know that there was a single candidate who really appealed to these voters in a way that one, inspired them, and two, actually had a set of policies that would have been good for them, either on the Democratic side or on the Republican side.
They purposefully cut certain sections of the interview to make her look better. What is your evidence of that? My guess is every interview that goes up on 60 Minutes is probably edited. It's probably literally every single one of them.
Part of the problem with this election is, in fact, that I think that the problems that are unique to some of these working class communities don't get a lot of attention, and maybe, hopefully the book will raise people's awareness.
Do you think Vance really 180'd all of his opinions, or is it just a grift for the power? It's probably a grift. Like if somebody comes to you and offers for you to be the vice president, yeah, you're probably like, yeah, okay, I'll fall in line, right?
Just a little bit.
And they feel strongly about patriotism, they feel strongly about national service, and they feel strongly about the American military.
Sure.
Because they have been the backbone of those people who've gone to war.
Yeah, absolutely. You think of the demographics of the U.S. military, it's more likely to be Republican, more likely to be working and middle class, not especially destitute, not especially wealthy, and in the South and Appalachia. That is Donald Trump's core group of supporters right there.
And what's the difference? I mean, politicians have often speculated about this. The inability to unite the white poor with a broad brush, and the African-American poor,
sure,
and even the Latino poor.
Sure.
We haven't had that, and it's because of race, cultural differences,
right,
and other things, because that's a powerful coalition. You saw with Bernie Sanders certainly reaching out to those people who thought, they wanted something different,
sure,
and it had a special appeal to millennials.
Right. Yeah, I don't know if the problem is so much that it's actually really hard to unite these different groups into a coalition of voters.
I think it's
probably possible.
Coalition.
I think it's a winning coalition. I think it's possible, but I just don't think that many people have actually tried, right? I mean, if you think of the Republican Party rhetoric, it is almost designed to turn off black voters.
Yeah, in fact, and that's what happened in the South.
Exactly.
The politicians used race to prevent.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that we don't have the counterfactual, right? I wish that we had tried to do something maybe.
Am I really going to waste time on this? Okay. It's in the article I linked. Okay, I'll cue this up.
Maybe a little bit differently, and then we might be sitting here right now saying, isn't it great that we have this fantastic American political party that's appealing to the concerns of both white and black poor? Unfortunately, we don't. We have a party that primarily is white working class and very little else these days, and we have a party that is the black poor, the Latino poor, and sort of the cosmopolitan middle and upper classes of all races.
Yeah, and the prevailing wisdom is they're bigger.
Prevailing wisdom is they're bigger, and if you look at the polls, that's probably true.
Tenor of it.
I think that this election is really having a negative effect, especially on the white working class, right? Because I think a lot of these grievances are legitimate, but what it's doing is it's giving people an excuse to point the finger at someone else. It's point the finger at Mexican immigrants or Chinese trade or the Democratic elites or whatever else. And sometimes these villains
point the finger at Mexican immigrants, Chinese trade, or someone. What did it say? Jesus.
Right, because I think a lot of these grievances are legitimate.
Or the Democratic elites.
It's doing is it's giving people an excuse to point the finger at someone else. It's point the finger at Mexican immigrants or Chinese trade or the Democratic elites or whatever else. And sometimes these villains are legitimate. I think it's totally fair to say that the policy elites of the Democratic Party haven't been totally concerned about the white working class. But at the same time, fundamentally what's going on and what Donald Trump has done is change the focus of the white working class from a sort of engaged and constructive politics to a politics of pointing the finger.
Oof, I like that quote.
elites or whatever else. And sometimes these villains are legitimate. I think it's totally fair to say that the policy elites of the Democratic Party haven't been totally concerned about the white working class. But at the same time, fundamentally what's going on and what Donald Trump has done is change the focus of the white working class from a sort of engaged and constructive politics to a politics of pointing the finger.
Yeah, someone on this program, Jeff Greenfield, said that Hillary Clinton, and you work with Bobby Kennedy, and you work with John Lindsay and others, and a Yale law graduate, by the way, I think.
But at the same time, fundamentally what's going on and what Donald Trump has done is change the focus of the white working class from a sort of engaged and constructive politics to a politics of pointing the finger.
Yeah, someone on this program, Jeff Greenfield, said that Hillary Clinton, and you work with Bobby Kennedy, and you work with John Lindsay and others, and a Yale law graduate, by the way, I think. Yale, said Bobby Kennedy, said that what Hillary Clinton should do now, he said she should go to these working class communities, and perhaps she is, but go to them and say, I may not get your vote, but I want you to know I'm listening. And I want you to know that if I win and even don't get your vote, I'm coming back. To give them some sense, to be able to believe that that somebody heading for Washington, if she is indeed heading for Washington, has taken enough time to try to hear what the problems are.
I think it would be an extraordinarily constructive addition to our politics, because at the end of the day, if people only focus on those who they think are going to vote for them, then we're going to have an increasingly polarized electorate, right? So, I think that there could be a natural constituency in the white working class for Hillary Clinton. Obviously, the white working class voted for Bill Clinton in overwhelming numbers. So it's not, to me, it's not so much an ideological opposition to either the Democratic or the Republican elites. It's a sense that people just don't care about those like you.
Exactly right. They don't care.
Exactly. And,
I clicked it. Just show me one more ad. Give it to me. Yes.
Just drowning in paperwork?
Yeah.
This work ain't fit for a partner.
What can I do about it?
With smart buying tools from Amazon Business, you
Oh
can
my
focus on
God.
what you do best. Amazon Business, your partner for smart business buying.
right, because I think a lot of these grievances are legitimate, but what it's doing is it's giving people an excuse to. I think it would be an extraordinarily constructive addition to our politics, because at the end of the day, if people only focus on those who they think are going to vote for them, then we're going to have those like you.
Exactly right. They don't care.
Exactly. And you know that feeling, unfortunately, if you think about the political dialogue that we're already starting to have, you know, both on the left and the right, there's a movement to sort of gloat over the fact that the elites were right about Donald Trump. Right? I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him, and I've noticed this willingness from people who think a lot like I do that, look, we told you so. To all these white working class voters, we told you so. We told you that Trump was going to be a terrible candidate. We told you that you were an idiot if you voted for him. The problem is, if you take that attitude of sort of gloating over Trump's defeat, then you're playing into the very thing that gave rise to Trump in the first place, which is a feeling that the elites think that they're smarter than you and just think you're a bunch of idiots.
What impact?
If you're gloating over Trump's defeat, what's the reference to here? I don't understand that, I guess, because this was a 2016 interview.
As voters, we told you so. We told you that Trump was going to be a terrible candidate. We told already starting to have, you know, both on the left and the right to our politics, because at the end of the day, if people only focus on those who they think are going to vote for them, then we're going to have an increasingly polarized electorate, right?
Yes.
So, you know, I think that there could be a natural constituency in the white working class for Hillary Clinton. Obviously, the white working class
They all
voted
thought that he was
for
going
Bill
to lose?
Clinton
Oh, because they thought...
numbers. So
okay,
it's not, to me, it's not so much an ideological opposition to either the Democratic or the Republican elites. It's a sense that people just don't care about those like you.
Exactly right. They don't care.
Exactly. And, you know, that feeling, unfortunately, if you think about the political dialogue that we're already starting to have, you know, both on the left and the right, there's a movement to sort of gloat over the fact that the elites were right about Donald Trump, right? I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him. And I've noticed this willingness from people who think a lot like I do that, look, we told you so. To all these white working class voters, we told you so. We told you that Trump was going to be a terrible candidate. We told you that you were an idiot if you voted for him. The problem is, if you take that attitude of sort of gloating over Trump's defeat, then you're playing into the very thing that gave rise to Trump in the first place, which is a feeling that the elites think that they're smarter than you and just think you're a bunch of idiots.
What impact had writing this book had on you? I mean, other than the fact that it made you think deeply about where you came from,
sure,
you know, and what impact an understanding of your own community might make.
Yeah, well, it's for the first time exposed me to the wild world of internet trolls who criticize everything that you do.
They follow you everywhere.
Oh, absolutely. It's very interesting. The internet is, you know, a den of vipers, as I like to say. No, I mean, I think the biggest impact that it's had on my life, obviously, is that it's sort of, you know, it's sort of forced me to confront the fact that I sort of exist uneasily in the world of the elites, and I exist uneasily in the world of the non-elites back home. And I'll always feel most comfortable back in Middletown, Ohio. But I realize that as I'm, you know, that's me.
Have come to sort of.
Okay. Whatever. We don't need this.